Could Star Trek The Next Generation be returning to the small screen? It's been a wild ride for Trekkies who've wondered what could be next from the Star Trek universe after Star Trek Discovery's streaming success, but now it looks like the final frontier for fans of Star Trek The Next Generation may not be so final. Earlier this summer, Sir Patrick Stewart, aka Captain Jean-Luc Picard, let it slip in an impromptu interview that he hadn't yet watched the newest Star Trek show Discovery, but that he may soon have a reason to check it out. Now, a lot of folks, of course, speculated that Stewart might have been hinting at a cameo aboard the Discovery, and even though a guest star spot wouldn't quite line up with the show's timeline, which takes place 10 years before the original series and way before Jean-Luc Picard's time as captain of the Enterprise, it was nothing that a little dose of time travel shenanigans couldn't fix. But now we are seeing Stewart's Discovery comment in a whole different context with the news last week that CBS All Access is working with Discovery showrunner Alex Kurtzman to produce new Star Trek shows, specifically 4 new series. And this week, The Mirror announced that there's a verbal agreement for Patrick Stewart to come back to the franchise. Now, while the details are still being worked out between Stewart and CBS, this is all sounding more and more like it is actually happening. So, if they can make it so, it means Captain Picard is back, baby! So, how would all of this work, and what does all of this mean for the next generation of Star Trek TV shows? Well, according to Variety, Kurtzman's 5-year deal with CBS is to produce 4 new Star Trek series, which reportedly include a Starfleet Academy series from the folks behind Marvel's Runaways, a limited series based on the classic bad guy Khan and led by Nicholas Meyer, the director of The Wrath of Khan, another live-action series, and an animated series. Now, it's still possible that Picard could show up in any of these series as a cameo, but The Hollywood Reporter added more dilithium to the USS Speculation's warp core when they shared that one of the potential new series could feature Patrick Stewart as the leading role. Now, this leaves us wondering when in the timeline a Picard-led series would take place and if it could be a sequel to The Next Generation. Details of the 4 new series are still limited, but from what we know so far, it's possible that Jean-Luc Picard would be in either the undisclosed live-action show or the animated series. Either of these could be great options for continuing the adventures of the Enterprise. The whole cast could come back to voice their characters, and they wouldn't have to worry about the fact that Brent Spiner, who played Data, an unaging android, has aged. An animated TNG series could follow in the footsteps of Star Trek, the animated series from the 70s, which continued the journeys of the original series cast and added to Star Trek lore. However, a live-action sequel of The Next Generation could also work. Most of the main cast could be available for a reunion. Of course, their characters will have moved on to different roles throughout the galaxy, so the series might instead feature Admiral Picard going toe-to-toe with the Starfleet higher-ups and dealing with high-level political intrigue rather than the day-to-day starship combat as a captain. In either case, fans have been wanting to see what happens after the established Prime timeline, which technically hasn't been explored past the end of Voyager and the destruction of Romulus, as seen through the eyes of Spock and J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek film. So our hope is that one of these 4 new series will keep that Prime timeline going well into the 25th century. But what do you folks think? Would a Next Generation sequel work? Would you prefer it animated or live action? And how do you get around the fact that Data actor Brent Spiner has aged out of playing the android? Oh, I don't know. Maybe make him the voice of the Enterprise. Oh, you know that's the way to do it. Oh, let's discuss. Be sure to like, subscribe, and mash that little bell to get notified every time we drop a video, like today with the latest episode of Animation Investigation. If you didn't get enough Star Trek from today's episode, Hector is breaking down how the Star Trek animated series could play a huge part in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek 4.